Hi, welcome. Today I have three very inspiring trio which has come together. We're co-founders of an organization called OpenSkiez. Welcome Vikas Dimri, Rahul Kulkarni and Leena Kulkarni to our WiP forum.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure being with you.
Okay, Vikas, I don't know how to start because I've never been in such esteemed company of people who have climbed the Mount Everest. Congratulations. When I read this and I saw the video which Leena had sent, I was so impressed. I told my husband, I told my daughter, I said, today I'm going to be speaking to someone who has climbed the Everest. And not only that, in the same year, you have done the Ironman triathlon, which for our members, you'll have to explain what it is. You're also a complete fitness buff, never missing your workouts apparently, and happy to give up the good, easy life for one of discipline and key to good health. This is something he does other than being a full-time MNC banker, a seasoned banker at an MNC organizations. Congratulations, Vikas. This is very, very impressive.
Thank you, Mandeep. Thank you for your kind words.
Okay, and Rahul, that you are the significant another of Leena Kulkarni, who is such a famous person in our community. But I wanted to say that this gentleman has also traveled a path which is less traveled, exploring and experimenting with life and going with the flow. I think at a time when most people are in corporate jobs, he decided to go on his own and follow his passion in the world of training and development, learning and development. He loves challenges and can work in absolute chaos, is not afraid of failure, and his yardstick for success is entirely personal. One of the reasons why within 6 years of completing his master's in management, he chose to start his own venture, and one that he's still running successfully. He's also an outdoor enthusiast, a triathlete, an Ironman, and someone who loves to rock and jazz. That's interesting. Congratulations, Rahul.
Yes, thank you, Mandeep.
And this trio won't be complete without our very own Leena Kulkarni. Leena, we spoke about, and as her, she's a Wonder Woman at WiP. She's a complete people's person and loves working with people as she runs her companies at Maitra Handicrafts and OpenSkiez. It's the interaction with her artisans, weavers, and children at OpenSkiez that she finds most exciting. She has been working on her social enterprise and channeling her creativity in new products and designs and writing, traveling and trekking in the Himalayas whenever she feels like it, and painting. Welcome, Leena. Welcome once again.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks.
Okay, I am going to start with Vikas because you have to tell me about your childhood. What got you started? And I would like to see this journey coming up to the Everest.
Come from family, and much is what was expected then of middle class families and kids growing up in middle classes to focus on education, studies, and go to school, be diligent in your education. That's what I did myself. I loved sports, I loved playing, but beyond playing school cricket and school football, I couldn't go beyond that. And I led a very middle class, ordinary upbringing in Baroda, and did my engineering as was expected of good students then. And then, went on to do my master's in business administration, again, as was expected, and went on to join the corporate life. And after having spent a few years in the corporate world, I realized that I wanted to do more than just, regular corporate work. And a health scare in the family pushed me towards getting fitter.
Yeah.
And, that journey took me to a few marathons, half marathons, followed by full marathons, and then some trekking in the Himalayas. And I found my love in the Himalayas. And, one trek after another, and then, took me to mountaineering, which is an extreme sport.
Yes.
And, one step at a time took me to the top of the world.
All right. I think that's put it very mildly. Such an humble person that you are, just top of the world. And I think, Leena, we deserve a little bit more from him at a later date about how, how the whole thing that it's going to be a motivational talk about how did you manage and at which stages and what were the barriers which came in the way of you making it there. But fantastic. Thank you so much, Vikas. Rahul, what about you? What has your childhood journey been?
Yeah. So I'm quite different. So I came from an urban background. So I'm born, brought up in Mumbai, and typical schools which are buildings. Of course, we had a ground there to play. Uh, however, most of story resembles what Vikas says. Engineering followed by management, very usual stuff. Typically for the kids around in the 80s, 90s, that's what we did, and that's what we aspired for. Yeah. Somewhere after joining corporates, I realized that this is not what I really like. I want to do more. I want to experience things that are different. Yeah. In fact, to give you a small story, it's Leena who first wanted to quit her job and wanted to start something, and she started doing all kinds of research. Eventually, I beat her to it. To be very honest, yeah. After quitting job, I've done a lot of different and diverse things, right from setting up a bike servicing outlet
Wow.
to you know uh, consulting and training people in sales and marketing. That's where my background comes from. And over a period of time, dabbled with technology where we have built products of our own. So that's on the professional side. uh, on the outdoors adventure, I'm also a marathoner and triathlete. And to a bit thanks to Vikas for introducing us to trekking, where we started trekking Himalayas, and that's where again we found the common connect. And that's where we started to think about doing something on outdoors and came together.
Fantastic. Leena, because we know your background as you shared with us in the WiP Wonder Woman, part of our program. I would really like you to tell us, how did you three of you meet? I know you're engineers and I know that you guys are MBAs. So tell me, how did you guys meet, और ये दोस्ती कहाँ से कहाँ तक गई?
हाँ तो मैम ये दोस्ती बहुत पुरानी है. We met in 1998. In fact, we all met together in Pune. The three of us have done our masters in management from Symbiosis. It was SIBM back then. Of course, now it's an autonomous university. So yeah, we met in 1998, and of course we were unknown to each other until then. But there was something about us that I don't know, that just clicked and we came together, and we've been together since. In fact, it so happened that Vikas is more family, and wherever we've moved, it's we've also tried to be with each other. So it's not that Rahul and we worked. When I was in Bangalore, Rahul was in Kerala, and we've of course lived apart for many years during our corporate careers. But even Vikas has been a part of the system, and he's also tried to ensure that we're always close to each other. So yeah, this friendship of 22 years is we're all like family. In fact, that's what I'd like to say.
Fantastic. Vikas, how did this idea about OpenSkiez was conceived by all of you, and when was it?
Actually, this idea started developing when I started to plan to climb Everest, and this came from an insight. And let me kind of take a pause and give you a story there. So I went in 2016 to do a mountaineering course because I wanted to climb a serious mountain like Mount Everest.
Sure.
And during my mountaineering course, one of the first things that they teach you is how to climb a rock climbing. And there is this story that I've told to many people where I was a 40-plus-year-old being trained by 21-year-olds, and I was trying to climb a rock, and my instructor was standing on top of the rock, and usually the holes on rocks are very, very small ones. It's like a pinch, and sometimes they're just dents in the rock, and you've got to spot the hole to climb the rock. And I was somewhere stuck in the middle. I couldn't go up because I didn't know where to hold next. I couldn't go down because I was scared. And so I was pretty much stuck in the middle. And you can imagine how hilarious that sight must have been to all the 20-year-olds. And there's this instructor standing on top of the rock, screaming at me, saying, "Vikas ji," because I'd forbidden them to call me uncle then. So he says, "Vikas ji, hold aapki aankhon ke samne hai." And I'm looking, I said, "There's no hold here." And after a few minutes of frustration, my instructor rappelled down to the spot and he pointed to a small dent right in front of my eyes. Okay. And I said, "This is not a hold." He said, "This is the hold that you have to climb with." And such was the situation that day that, after that session, I went back to the camp, and I was wondering whether I'm in the right place or not, or should I just go back to Bombay? My office is waiting. I've got work to finish, and I have a nice cozy house to sleep in and, watch television. I love my beer. I could just have a beer and rather than, getting screamed by a 21-year-old. But, as they say, rest is history. I went on to finish the course with an A grade and then went on to do more courses. But what stuck of that particular day to me was that there were many lessons there. There was an opportunity, however small, staring me right in my face, and I had not spotted it. And in rock climbing, we say that, you climb a rock with your eyes first. So you map out the route with your eyes, where you're going to hold. That's how you solve problems. Visualize the problem and solve it first in your mind, and then go about executing. And, I came back and started telling these stories to my friends in corporate world, and they found these stories quite interesting and insightful. And there were a lot of learnings for leadership and for people. And then made us wonder, we could possibly train people in the outdoors, adults. Some of them will gain like I did, some will not. But what if we could train kids in the outdoors?
Sure.
Right? And these learnings will then stay for life. And that was the premise with which we started thinking about it. And, now come to the current time, we look at our school curriculums, and, the entire school curriculum, the education system is designed to bring in academic excellence,
Yes,
subject matter expertise. But, when we look back and see in corporate life and today's, even in entrepreneurs, right? What makes one successful as a professional or as a person is not what you studied in school, but skills like adaptability, mobility, agility, resilience, courage, curiosity.
yes.
And these are the very things that make you successful. And that's where the idea was born, that, we could maybe build something which we could train kids on.
Yeah.
And use outdoors as a medium. And Rahul comes with a background in learning and development, and he had very clear ideas of how this could be delivered. We are very passionate about kids in general, and we thought we could make an impact. And Leena's a President's Award winner, Scouts, and she had a lot of insights about how this could be done. So it all came together in that sense.
Fantastic. So Rahul, how did you apply your learning and development tools in getting a content ready for bringing kids together? Because as rightfully said by Vikas, most parents, Asian parents, are usually, wanting kids to deliver academic excellence. The reason it's so nice, the Commonwealth Games just got over, and every time you see youngsters doing well, my husband is one of the person who doesn't miss any match, and he is on the cheering squad for every game throughout the night, throughout the morning. And every time we get a goal, he says, now we are getting it, now we are getting some Indians. And we have seen the time where in kind of 20 years, a China with no medals to a China with a supremacy. And you can actually create a country with 1 billion people to do this. So I know now that how many parents do you see will really look at children coming forward and doing activities like you guys are promoting?
You're absolutely right, Mandeep. Times have changed. Parents have become more open. There are parents who age today. Yeah. And we try to, and many of the parents that you see today want to give this experience to their children. Some things probably we were a little bit deprived of, if you can say, as a generation.
Yes.
You come to Bombay today and you pick up any suburb in Bombay. Say you were to pick up any, you were to pick up a Powai or a Malad or a Mulund or a Dadar. Sure. There are hundreds of footballing institutes, the coaching centers there, and you can see every kid. Every parent is today sending their kids either for a football or a badminton or a judo, or music or dance. People want their children to, experience non-academic, whatever you call learning as well. Now, coming back to, what we do in our corporate world, we can also, agree that formal training is only a very small part of the whole learning exercise.
Sure.
People learn through experiences, people learn through peers, people learn through, other mediums which are there. So we bring in that entire expertise back to outdoors as a medium. For us, outdoors is just a medium. A trekking, a rock climbing, a river crossing, these are all mediums. What we intend to deliver is overcoming fear, challenging oneself. And what we have done is we have actually structured the curriculum. So what we have said that for, hey, an activity is important. The kid likes that activity, enjoys that activity, and goes through the activity. But what they gain out of that activity, and how do you structure it? How do you reflect? How do you make the kid understand? And then, use it or, adopt it in their day-to-day life. So that's where we have brought in the learning.
I think that's terrific. Leena, are you seeing a change in the women around you about how they want the children to be? When you see children, you can keep telling them that I would like you to work out, bahar jaake khelo, but unhone parents ko kabhi TV ke samne se, they've never seen them get up and do something worthwhile. They just work, they come back, and they're on the phone. Those children, you can, it's very difficult for them to play because they've not seen in their family parents being active in any which way. To break this, I'm seeing the new generation of parents at least bring this new ideas and do that. Do you see this in women around you now?
It is much better than what it was before, I would say that, but not to the extent that we would want it to be. I think people are waking up, to sport, and like you yourself mentioned that the Commonwealth Games, and we won so many goals this time, and the tally's been good. So we see that there is a lot of acceptance of maybe sport as a career. Even that's not really acceptable, honestly, because it doesn't pay in India, and we are still not a country of very privileged people. We don't have government security, and hence, of course, parents want, naturally want their children to have careers which are paying careers. But having said that, yes, there is an improvement, and we do see parents, wanting to send their children out. But yeah, it could be better. And like you said, ma'am, parents can lead by example. Rahul and I have 2 children, and when Vikas used to always egg us, to go on these trekking holidays and vacations, and we said, okay, why not? And the kids were really small. My son was, I think, 5 or 6 when he went for his first camp. And we see a big difference in their personalities now and how they adapt to different situations around. So yeah, we would want parents to of course, there's another set of parents who are very protective because of the scenario is different, security concerns are different these days. We live in gated communities. They don't want to send their children out unprotected. But to answer your question simply, yes, we believe there's a lot of hope and there's a good market out there, and parents are waking up to the fact that yes, outdoors as a medium will help develop the child's personality.
Okay, this question is to you, Rahul, as a city boy, and to Vikas, both of you. I really find the infrastructure appalling in cities. Okay, I am like Leena, I grew up in colonies, and I mean, we had playgrounds, and what playgrounds, and schools that we went to. There might be central schools, but fantastic playgrounds. But how can you guys, in your capacities, work with local authorities, or at least influence people or schools to at least take the children to do sports in a ground that they might hire?
Yeah, to be very honest with you, if you look at the medals that we have won, or if you look at our current cricket team or a football team or hockey team, even in team sports, you will see most of them come from small towns. Yeah. You will rarely see people from large cities, barring probably some bit of badminton in Hyderabad, where they've done a fantastic job.
Exactly.
So if you were to say this, OpenSkiez is actually a very great medium, where we would want to, and one of our stated intent is to collaborate with educational institutions, cover up for the gaps which are there in large cities. It's not only about the vertical buildings or lack of space to play, but also the lifestyles, because people are more digitally, whatever you call, they are hooked digitally. You see kids today, 5th standard, 6th standard, they have mobile phones. Moment they get free times, they are searching something or the other. They're WhatsApping. So to some extent, we would like to break this whole thing, and we would provide that opportunity. So we are looking at various formats. Some formats are where we take them closer to their city so that they can have, a 1 day, 2 day kind of an experience, which is closer to the city, get them to experience outdoors, get them to learn and actually develop an inclination for outdoors. Once they have done that, the job is much easier. Then we can go to the Himalayas, to the larger mountains and, conduct our flagship programs, which are the more educational programs. So we have it in our plans where we would want to, tie up with schools, tie up with institutions where we can start bringing these kind of experiences for children. More importantly, though, is to create that hook where the child starts enjoying outdoors.
I think that's really important, because do you see corporates or anyone taking a social responsibility in this angle? To create a mindset, which Rahul just mentioned. This can be taken up with educational institutions, but they will also say that our rating goes up according to the number of our kids who do get it merits, or they might take ownership of a kid which has won a medal. I don't know who else can get this mindset in sports.
Yeah, I mean, what you said is absolutely right. Sports and, this connection with winning medals and, award trophies and awards, I think that connection has to be first broken. Much like, not every child who goes to school has to be a merit lister.
Exactly.
Not every child who plays sport needs to be a medal winner. And, parents should stop expecting children to, if they are involved in sports, to become medal winners and champions.
Sure.
Because sports teaches a lot more than just, a sense of achievement.
Exactly.
Somebody who plays soccer, for example, 3 times a week, loses at least 2 times a week, right? And learns how to lose gracefully over a period of time,
Yes.
right? And also knows that, the wins and the losses go hand in hand. This is just one of the very small learnings that happen just being involved in sports. So parents have to stop thinking of children going and playing sport purely from a perspective of career. So I think that mindset change is more required from parents than from infrastructural functions like schools and, government and so on and so forth. Because once parents let loose and allow their kids to experience sports and outdoors, then institutions like schools will be more favorable for this, because they realize that parents are not pushing for outcomes. I think just the fact that parents are educated and aware that outdoors and sports can create a greater impact on the child's future, I think that itself will be a big push.
Leena, how do you guys take care of the fact that there could be health issues which go wrong, or food which can go wrong with kids, and kids who are really living a very protective life, suddenly they are outdoors for minimum, 3 to 5 days or something like that?
Yeah.
How do you guys take care of all those things?
So we've now perfected our programs, and we do it in such a way that, these programs in the camps. So, okay, how we do our programs, ma'am, is one, we have a base camp, which is always very close to a roadhead or a town or a city. And we do have a tie-up with, a local hospital or a clinic, that in case of emergencies, there is a place where we can go and get the child, get help for the child. And of course, then we have these advanced camps where, we do a couple of days off from the base camp. There's a trek up to a certain point. The next thing that we do is we have instructors who are certified. Like Vikas is a certified mountaineer. We have all our instructors are certified. They are certified in search and rescue. They know, not just basic first aid. They can handle serious situations of altitude sickness, etc. So, in that sense, we go through a whole process of mistake proofing. What are the various places where, risks are, where risks are associated, and how do we counter each of those issues. So it could be a child falling ill, or even food, like you mentioned. The kitchen staff, have been with us for like years, and we know them well, and hence those are issues that we take care of. Of course, there are protocols like when you're living in a tent and you're out in the wild and in outdoors, raat ko kaise sona hai, bed ko kaise jhadna hai, and all those things are things that we teach. So like I said, every step, there is a process and a protocol that we follow to ensure that, things are managed well.
Rahul, any anecdote that you remember which kind of makes you feel that this is really, really worth it, or what we are doing? Any incident which is either scary, or any anecdote which is really, really nice, which tells you OpenSkiez is something that we all wanted to do?
Yeah, let me share with you one of our camps which we did in Manali. Yeah, and we had a group of around 16 kids in diverse age group, from a 10-year-old to a 16-year-old. When we went to the advanced camp, which is what Leena was telling you, that we moved from the base camp to an advanced camp. Now that's a really tough journey. That's a really tough trek. We started at around 3 a.m. in the morning, pitch dark, and of course in the mountains, pitch dark with all forest and paths which are uneven, etc., etc. It's a little scary with only your torch lights. Before going, Leena, me and Vikas, we sat for hours together, thinking how will we manage it? Because there are 10 years old and there are 16 years old. So we thought that the older kids would do well and the younger kids would struggle. And then we made a plan saying that, one of us returns back with the younger kids if they struggle and, things like that. We started in the morning and we went to that trek. And, out of these 16 kids, around 13 of them could manage to come till the end.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and we had expected only 5 of them to reach there. Okay. That was our whatever you call benchmark which we had set. Yeah. To our surprise, all the 10 years old did very, very well, and some of the 16 years old struggled. Yeah. Now there were 2-3 things which came out because of this. Number one is we realized that age is just a number. It's more about the physical capability that the person has and the mental mindset, because these treks challenge you mentally. As your altitude increases and as the distance increases, it mentally fatigues you. So the 10 years old could cope up very well. The other very funny thing which happened was earlier, the 10 years old were looking up to the 16-year-old. Now it went the other way around.
That's nice. Leena, one story for the road.
I would like to, the reason I think I'm very happy that, we're doing OpenSkiez is the kind of testimonials we get from parents and children. In fact, in all our programs, we've had at least one child saying, I want to come for the immediately next program, and that's like, that feels really good because, the child's just gone through a program and he wants to repeat it again. There's some value that we are adding and that we're able to see as well. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So what next what are the plans for OpenSkiez going forward?
We would want, each and every child to experience outdoors. And to that extent, we don't want to leave any stone unturned. We would want to, reach out to institutions. We want to scale it up to cities other than where we have been now, and impacting many, many more children and from different, different parts of the society, not only urban, but even semi-urban or even rural kids, etc.
I wish your friendship a thing, but before you guys go, I want each of you to say 3 words about the other. So let's go for Leena. Both of you guys, give me 3 words which describe Leena. Let me ask Rahul first. Rahul.
She's kind. Let me put it, passionate about what she does. Yeah, she's quite outspoken.
Wonderful. Vikas?
Yeah, I would use 3 different words. Kind, of course, holds. Passionate also holds, but I would use a word called missionary for Leena. She doesn't shy away from speaking her mind and standing her ground.
Okay, so now we're going to say 3 words about Vikas, Leena and Rahul.
Vikas. I think Vikas is an very balanced, extremely balanced. I think he's also extremely passionate about what he does.
Yeah, I think Vikas is extremely resilient. I mean, once he sets up his mind, he will want to do it. The other thing which I think about Vikas is that he's sensitive.
Discipline, I think.
I was just going to say that. That's a word you both were missing. Yes, discipline. Yes.
Yes, he's extremely disciplined. He will miss our social gatherings saying, I have to go to the gym and this is what I have to do. And I get very upset about it. But yes, that's how he is.
Okay. All right. So now about Rahul. Leena and Vikas. Go. 3 words for Rahul. Just describe Rahul.
Rahul is a great father. He's an out-of-the-box thinker and very mature.
Okay. Leena?
Yeah, he's a risk taker. He's driven and and failure doesn't deter him at all. So I think he's extremely open to challenges, and I really love that about him. And while he used this for Vikas, I would say he's a very sensitive soul himself.
That defines all of you very well. I mean, I think this conversation can go on. I'm learning so much from all of you, but I hope we'll meet again socially and otherwise. All the best to OpenSkiez and to your wonderful, wonderful mission to get good leadership skills in children and life skills early on in life. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much, Mandeep. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Mandeep. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rahul. Thanks, Vikas. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The camp at OpenSkiez was extremely fun and had learnings of a lifetime.